Welcome to Inside the Force. I'm Greg Grunberg, a.k.a. Snap Wexley.
It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here. I am actually solo right now doing the show. Casey had to get some stuff done this week, but I am bringing on a guest here after I kind of run through the news. So we'll get to her, that is Samantha Luse, who's actually been on the show before, so we'll get to her in a second. But I want to run through the news real fast for you. Not much out there since we recorded last week. Of course, the Blu-ray for Solo is coming out next month. September 30th, you'll be able to get it on digital. 2 weeks later, you'll be able to get it on Blu-ray. There are some articles floating around about Filoni talking about the fate of Ahsoka and Sabine. Now, he's focused more on the Clone Wars right now, so he says that he doesn't really know what that future holds for them, but there's definitely going to be a need to finish that storyline. So I'm sure, like Casey and myself, we're very much looking forward to that at some point, because the ending of Rebels really took everybody, I think, by surprise. So there's some great stuff there. If you want to go read that, there's articles out there or an interview with him talking about it. But there's also mention of him not actually being the lead on Star Wars Resistance, which is the next animated show that's coming out this fall. Which actually makes sense with Clone Wars coming out, not fully done, I'm sure, with those episodes yet, because they're not coming out till next fall when the streaming service debuts. But the Resistance, the way he describes it, it's very much he's actually doing the role that George did for the Clone Wars. He's kind of overseeing the storylines, talking to his team about what the story should be but then he's also letting them kind of expand it and take it like he did with Clone Wars. So it's really cool that he's empowering his team to tell these stories, and it's going to be very interesting to see where those go. I mean, just like Clone Wars was kind of still the brainchild of George, I think Resistance is still going to be the brainchild of Filoni, who basically has become the new George Lucas of this generation, I feel like. So very surprised that we haven't actually seen anything from Resistance yet, but I'm sure very soon we should see some stuff, because apparently this thing is debuting in October on Disney. So we'll see. There's a new set image that was posted on social media by the director of photography for episode 9. Showed an incredible shot inside of a studio, probably in London. It was captioned "Space Lights, unbeatable quality source of ambient lighting, 6,000 watts, 6 lamps, or 3,000 watts, 3 lamps." I mean, it's just a studio with all these lamps in it, and it's an interesting green screen set. So obviously you can't see much or figure out much yet, but great shot out there for that. Then of course they released the cover for, or actually I think it looks like a double-sided poster for the novel for Solo, a Star Wars story, which is written by Mur Lafferty. So, and it's just like The Last Jedi. It's an expanded edition, so it seems like there's going to be extra scenes and stuff in there. So that looks very interesting. If you get it at Barnes & Noble, you get this poster. this exclusive poster. So go get that. You can pre-order it, of course. And then that hits shelves, I think, in October. I'm looking for the day, but I can't see it. But I think it's October. So get that whenever you get a chance at Barnes & Nobles. In fact, I got the date here. Actually, September 4th, not October. September 4th. So that's very soon. That's actually right before the movie comes back. That's great to know because I'll be getting that book and listening to it and on the audio books on audible.com. So, okay, that seems like it's pretty much all the news. Now I want to bring on my guest for this evening because, as I said earlier, Casey kind of bailed on me before I was leaving town. She has been on the show before. I want to say she was on our 200th episode when we had our big roundtable about our predictions for episode 8. And then, of course, now she's hosting her own podcast. It's not a Star Wars podcast, but we'll talk about that. So, Samantha, I call you Sam all the time, but Samantha Luse, how are you, hun?
Good. Doing well. Thanks for bringing me on.
Well, thank you for filling in for my co-host here who's missing in action.
Yeah. What the heck, Casey?
He's got a good excuse. He's getting ready for his son's first birthday this weekend. So.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been a year.
Yes. He is one Saturday. So
that's exciting.
Yeah.
We'll let him slide with that, I guess.
But yeah, thanks for talking with me for a little while. We got a lot to go over because I want to, as I was saying before we started rolling here, we've got a lot of topics surrounding the women of Star Wars that it's good to have a female's and a woman's voice to talk about it a little bit more because there's only so much two guys can just ramble on. But first, tell everybody about the podcast you just started.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm switching gears a little bit, switching franchises here, talking Star Wars, when my podcast that I just started a few weeks ago with one of my best friends is about the Harry Potter franchise. And it's called Harry Potter and the Half Drunk Podcast because we are, well, as the name suggests, half drunk when we're talking about it. Every week we pair our Harry Potter topic with some sort of alcohol. And we actually just brought on our first guest yesterday. So,
Sweet.
Yeah, it's going well. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's, there's, as we kind of both researched it a little bit, I mean, there's a good amount of Harry Potter podcasts, but...
yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, but I think you guys have got a uniqueness to it that's really good. I think it's always good when you're, not just talking about the one thing you talk about and you add in some other elements of
Right. It's a more targeted demographic. We're not like just rereading chapters over and over again like a lot of the Harry Potter podcasts do. We're just like trying to think of more interesting things that we could talk about.
Absolutely.
And it's always fun listening to people get a little tipsy. So.
Yes. So that's great. So definitely you can check that out on iTunes right now. Just search Harry Potter. You'll find it on the podcasts. I'm helping you out. We're going to get you on all the other platforms as well. So eventually we'll get everybody that listens to us on Stitcher or TuneIn or Google, Podbean, whatever. You'll be able to get on there here soon with all that stuff. But she is doing great. Go check that out. But this isn't Harry Potter. So
right.
Now I was correct, right? You were on the big 200 episode we did, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's right.
It was. I think we're like counting down the days until, maybe Last Jedi came out.
Yes, we were predicting. Yeah. We were predicting the Last Jedi. We were
okay.
Me and Casey before every movie, we have what's called our predictions episode, and I think that just happened to fall. The 200 episode happened to fall right before we went and saw The Last Jedi, and we wanted to do something special because it was 200 episodes, and we've had so many people around that we all know that kind of been on the shows. And so, yeah, I'm trying to make sure I look it up here. Yeah, so is it? Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, so it was It was actually October, so it was actually a couple months before we.
Okay. Yeah.
The movie. It was. We were mainly talking about the last trailer. That's what. Because the title of the episode was the last trailer. So, so if you want to, if you want to go back and listen to that episode 200, we had a big roundtable with Chad, who's been on the show, Jeb, Anthony, Cody, and of course, he was your first time on the show.
Yeah, and I was a little. Or that's how I thought you did every single podcast, and I was like, dang, this is a big effort every week. Bring all these people in here in the studio. I was like, geez. No. But now I know.
we sit at a small table and in case you just sit across from each other and talk.
I was impressed by the amount of work that went into it the first time.
Yeah, because we had 2 recorders going and we had to sync. I had to sync, make sure it synced. And it was actually a real revealing here. It was actually a bad idea because there was a lot of echoing just in that little space we were right there. Yeah. So because we did separate recorders, but it worked out. It was fine. But you did. I remember you had a lot to contribute because you talked a lot about the Rey and Kylo thing going on, and we had a lot of discussions about Snoke and all that stuff. So let's just do a little summary since then. What did you actually think of The Last Jedi?
I had kind of a mixed bag of emotions on The Last Jedi. The first time I saw it, I walked away just like feeling meh. Like I felt like all the hype didn't live up to like my expectations of the movie the first time I saw it. Mm-hmm. And I also caught like an editing mistake, and that just really bothered me because I was like, come on, what are you doing?
An editing mistake?
In the... Actually, I think there's a couple. And I noticed it the very first time I watched the movie. So ever since then, it's just like really bothered me. But it's when they're on like I don't know all the names of the planets, but when they're on the planet with like the red dirt and the ice at the end.
Oh, great.
And they're, yeah. And they've got their like feet scraping in the snow.
Yeah.
There's one part where like Kylo's feet scrape and it leaves a mark, and then they cut back to him and the mark's not there anymore. And it's just like, I don't know. It just bothered me. But it just really took me out of that really intense moment. Yeah. And then it just didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, really. And then with Luke dying at the end, I wasn't expecting that. I was kind of expecting the opposite, for Leia to die instead of Luke. And another thing that kind of bothered me was when Leia's ship is hit and she like flies out into space, and you're like, okay, this is the perfect time for her to die. She uses this force power that no one's ever seen before and flies herself back in. Just like, okay. But anyways, the second time I watched it, I liked it a lot better. I just like tried to go in without, thinking too much about it. And then the third time I watched it, I was back to not liking it. So I don't know. I'm just, I've got mixed emotions about it.
Well, that was clearly the fandom for that movie. There was it was 2 sides of that movie for sure, and pretty equal side. A lot of people didn't enjoy it. A lot of people really enjoyed it. And it is one of those movies that it gets a little better every time you watch it, but it still doesn't make up for some of the mistakes that they've made. So yeah,
I mean, I'm never going to get tired of a girl with a lightsaber. Okay. Like that is really exciting for me and really empowering, just to like see a girl who many say is like the gender reverse of Luke, but she's not. She's totally different from Luke.
I agree.
So I think that's just refreshing, and I'm never going to get tired of watching Rey perfect her Jedi craft. So
Cool.
yeah.
Okay, so then fast forward to Solo. We all went and saw Solo together. Big group of us. I don't expect you've listened to us all the time, but I've said on the show here that I was really impressed with Solo. I didn't go in with very big expectations like I did with The Last Jedi, but I had problems leading up to it that I wasn't really happy with them recasting Han Solo, even Lando. I didn't really see. I was going in more or less waiting to be surprised about all the Easter eggs and what can possibly be connected to some of the movies and blah blah blah. And I got a lot of that, which really made it fun for me. But overall, it's weird because it's actually becoming the opposite of Last Jedi. Where Last Jedi, I really didn't like it at the beginning, and I'm kind of okay with it now. I was really happy with Solo.
And now you're not.
And now I'm like, I don't really need it. I didn't really I'll watch it again. It comes out next month on Blu-ray, and I was like, I'll watch it again, but my feelings about it have actually kind of diminished a little bit. It's weird,
right? Yeah, I kind of, it's everything that you want out of an action movie. It gives you it checks off every box when it comes to that. It's got like funny one-liners, and it's got like a few little moments where it tries to tie into like the broader plot and story, like when they show how he got the name Solo.
Yeah.
But for me, I wish that somehow it was tying into what we're seeing now, and I know that that's probably like not really possible. But I'm kind of the same. I was like, I wasn't like yearning to know that story. I didn't need that either. And I was also like, I can't picture Han Solo being anyone besides Harrison Ford. So I think he did a great job, but it's just not the same. So
that's a good point. So being in the younger generation, I feel like, because there was talks that I've heard in other podcasts that I listened to that, they were kind of making the argument that Han Solo should be one of those evergreen characters, like a James Bond, or even they even make the argument of Indiana Jones, who was coincidentally played by Harrison Ford.
Also Harrison Ford, yeah.
That those are characters that we should embrace being recasted and different stories, so that their stories and legacies kind of live on. And like Harrison Ford obviously would be my Han Solo, whereas this was introducing maybe another generation's version of Han Solo. Do you not feel that way? No.
No, absolutely not. No, I don't think so. I mean, I could see it. I could see them redoing all the Indiana Jones movies with someone new, but no, I feel like with a franchise this big with such long roots and a fan base, that you just can't just restart Han Solo. I don't like it.
Interesting. Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
Sorry to disrupt your theory.
And honestly, I haven't really come across anybody that has accepted that. I think, but you have. What's interesting though is you being already a fan of Star Wars, you kind of already grasped all the other movies leading up to this, right? I mean, there are some people, even younger than you, that are seeing Star Wars for the first time, watching Solo or watching The Last Jedi, and Harrison Ford is not in The Last Jedi, so this could be their first introduction to a Han Solo, and I think it could resonate with them a little bit, and they could not care that if they watch that first and then they go watch the original trilogy and be like, oh wow, that's the same guy, and it's a perspective that obviously we're not going to ever experience because we've seen the originals already.
Right. Well, I mean, I think if a little kid were to watch chronologically the way the movies were supposed to go, not just in the
release order,
the way they were released, then maybe like if I was a little kid, I would watch Solo and be like, okay, that's Han Solo. And then I would watch him later on and be like, oh, that's the same dude. He just grew up. And I wouldn't know the difference in like production value or the graphics or animation or anything, But I mean, I think obviously once you grow up, you would realize that's not actually the same person. And they probably wouldn't be as upset about it as people who have been alive for the entire,
Right.
but yeah.
I'm just not, ultimately, and I got over it, but I felt like that, cause Solo takes place 10 years before, A New Hope does. And to me, I kind of feel like 10 years isn't long enough for somebody's someone to change from being technically from being what they're saying. I think he's 22 and then he's 32 in A New Hope, right? So like when you're 22, I mean you're pretty much what you're going to look like. I mean, you know what I mean? So
yeah, he would have had to have aged a lot.
Yeah, and they did, and I don't know if you know, but they actually kind of shifted Han's age because in the original trilogy, it was never actually fully released what his age was. But it in some alliteration, it was always he was in his late 20s, so he was like 27, 28, right? Which would have put him about 10 years older than Leia. Well, now, because of this movie, they actually have established his age, and they shifted his age because they made him 20, I think 21 or 22 in a Solo. That means he's 31, 32 in A New Hope. So they added maybe like 3 or 4 years, which extends that gap a little bit between him and Leia. But because Leia's age is still the same, obviously. She's 19 by the time A New Hope comes
let's
around.
just make it a little bit more creepy.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so, a little uncomfortable.
Okay, so overall, I don't know. Give me a quick 1 through 4 with the Disney movies now. With Rogue One, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Solo. What's your order?
Like my opinion of which the best.
Yeah, which ones do you like?
One being the best.
One being the best. Yeah.
I'm gonna say The Last Jedi is. Okay. This is already putting me on the spot. Because I'm just like thinking back to all of them. Well, I'm gonna count 1, 2, 4. I'm not gonna count down. I think that's gonna be easier for me. So 1, I think, is The Force Awakens. I really liked that. Just, with Rey and her backstory and all the new characters, it was fun. 2 is probably, honestly, it's probably in the order that they came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's Force Awakens, then Rogue One, then Last Jedi, and then Solo.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I would go. I mean, I haven't actually said this. I don't think we just ranked these 4, but I would say I'm probably definitely going Rogue One. I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's easily right. If Empire is still number 1 for me, then Rogue One is like 1A.
Really? I mean,
yes.
I feel like that's kind of. I mean, just from people that I've talked to, a lot of people don't like Rogue One because of the ending, but I really enjoyed it too. And I really like Jyn Erso as a character.
I do too. And actually, I love the whole sacrifice part of the whole movie. The whole group was just willing to do all that, and and it ends so good, leading up to the original movie. I think it fits perfectly. So that would be number 1 for me. I after I saw it for the first time Solo, I would have said number 2. I would probably actually push it down to 3 now and have Force Awakens at 2, Solo at 3, Last Jedi definitely at 4 for me.
Yeah.
Last Jedi is buried. It's buried. It's got to take a lot to get out.
Yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to talk about, especially, with you and talking about female characters here. There's a book that you may be interested in coming out here. It's coming out actually October 30th. It's called Star Wars Women of the Galaxy.
Okay.
They kind of hinted and showed some art of it at Comic-Con this year. And it's written by a woman named Amy Ratliff, who's very connected to StarWars.com. She's a writer, and she does a lot of panels and stuff like that. She's at celebrations and all that stuff. She's very popular in the Star Wars world. So it's actually really cool that she was actually able to write this book. And I think I think writing it, what I mean by writing it, it's not a novel or anything. It's basically an illustrated book where they got a bunch of artists, these real world-class artists together that come around, and they've drawn 75 of these female characters that have been in and out of Star Wars, the films, the comics, the animation, the games. Mainly featuring these names. I'm sure you know most of these names, but Leia, of course, Rey, Ahsoka Tano, Iden Versio, who is in the Battlefront game, Jyn Erso, Rose Tico from Last Jedi, and then Maz Kanata, of course.
Oh, jeez.
So, are you a Rose hater?
Is it obvious? I mean,
wow.
I'm not a hater.
Do you know the story about what's happening with her?
She kind of annoyed me. The story, more than the story that you see in the movies, then no, I don't.
No. So I'll just fill you in. A lot of the backlash of the character was obviously by haters in the fandom. And there was a big, again, I don't know if you realize, but there was a big, there's a big hatred going on in the fandom over the past few months because of Last Jedi. And some of these fans were targeting Kelly Marie Tran and Ryan Johnson, the director, on Twitter and Instagram and all that. I mean, so much so that they forced her basically to quit her social media. It was so bad.
What?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I just wasn't really a fan of her character.
Right, and that's completely okay to be like that. But these people were directing it to the person.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's horrible.
No. I'm not that big of a hater.
Yeah, so there's I mean, seriously, there's been a lot. I mean, to the point where there was a hashtag going around called Force Out Hate. And there's been a big push for a union of fandom to kind of force out these people. And I think they've actually, I'm saying that we, because we're a big part of the Star Wars community right now, and we've been helping also too, trying to exploit positivity and positivity with the fandom, with these characters, because, and also it's come out too, like Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar in the original trilogy, in the prequels. He experienced the same thing back then. Unfortunately for him, there wasn't social media back then, so he didn't get killed on that, but he got it in person, unfortunately, which is horrible.
No, see, I would never think of taking it to the actor or actress. Like,
well, because you're thinking with common sense. I mean,
well, I mean, if you want to not like the character, that's your own prerogative.
Correct.
And that's your own opinion. But it's not like it's the actor's fault that you don't like it. If you want to blame somebody, blame the writer. They decided to just add this character in, but you're not going to go like trash them on social media.
Well, they did
bully them. Oh, geez. Well,
and it happens.
It's happening.
Well, it's happening more and more, not just in Star Wars either. I mean, I just read the other day. Do you know who Ruby Rose is?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a new what is it, like
Batgirl,
Batwoman
or Batwoman?
Yeah, something like that.
So Batwoman, who is a lesbian in the comic world, right?
And she's going to be in the show.
She's going to be in the Arrowverse, the TV versions of the CW. All that they're introducing her in the crossover event that they do every December, and then she's getting her own show. Well, yes. She just got forced off of Twitter because everybody attacked her about it.
Why?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, people are just upset that she got the part. I don't know. I really don't
Okay,
understand
well,
it.
she's awesome. So
She is.
they just need to chill.
Yeah, but that's, I'm on Twitter a lot, and that's how I see it. I read, obviously, the Star Wars stuff I see all the time, and it's really intoxicating. But yeah, when you get beyond, when you get outside of Star Wars, and I see this stuff it's happening everywhere. It's just it really is a small group of people. It's not like the masses, It's really, but the harshest words are the ones that hurt the most,
Right.
and it sucks because there's so many people that send so much positivity and cry out positivity, but it's hard to see those when you get
they're overshadowed
bombarded.
by the.
It sucks. So unfortunately, spinning into that a little bit, with Rose, because you brought that up, there's some female characters that, especially in Star Wars, that get knocked. Honestly, Rey got a lot. Daisy Ridley got a lot of slack because not many people were happy with Rey from Force Awakens fully because, and I say that in the sense only that they weren't necessarily, at least what I researched and saw, that they weren't necessarily upset with her character. They were upset that it seemed like it didn't take a lot for her to learn, like, the Force.
Yeah, I could see there wasn't too big of a struggle.
Correct, like with Luke, basically.
Right.
So of these, which I know you're a big, more proponent of the movies, but who are your favorite female characters, or who is the favorite female character?
Do you want me to rank them through 4 again?
No, we'll just start with number 1. Who's overall your favorite character, female character?
I guess I'm just gonna go with the obvious answer and say Leia has to be my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
You see her grow a lot from just being a really sharp-witted princess to being a general, and you get to see a lot of her life unfold throughout the series, which you don't really get with any of the other women. So I respect her for just holding true to her own will and her opinion and not taking any crap from anyone and just being really smart. Honestly, if we were to compare her to Harry Potter, she'd be like the Hermione in Harry Potter. So, so there's a lot of reasons, but I think that she would be my favorite.
Now, you mentioned how you didn't really know much of Ahsoka, or you haven't watched a lot of the Clone Wars, I don't think, right?
No, I've heard that people liked her a lot, and was she she was involved with Anakin or something? Was related to him somehow?
Not involved. She was
not
his Padawan.
Involved romantically. Yeah,
she was his Padawan. So that was kind of a surprise to everybody, when episode 2 comes out and the Clone Wars starts, and then episode 3 happens, it ends. There's a 3-year gap of the actual wars that are going on, and the Clone Wars TV series fills in that gap. And it's actually coming back. It didn't really get to finish out, so they're bringing it back. But Ahsoka was introduced. They did a movie, a Clone Wars movie, animated movie before the series started.
Okay.
And in that movie, Yoda appoints Anakin a Padawan, and it is a young Ahsoka Tano. And I got to be honest, and every Star Wars fan will probably say that, she wasn't well received. In the beginning, because she was.
Why was she?
Well, I think because she was coming across as very young, and she talked like a just a teenager, and even though they centered it felt like they centered the series to a younger audience at first, but as the seasons went on, it was
animated, right?
It was animated, yeah. It was 3D animated. As the seasons went on, they made it a little more darker. The characters got a little more grown up. Ahsoka got grown.
So she had more like depth to her, and
Totally.
yeah, okay.
Well, then they came out with that series abruptly ended, unfortunately, after Disney bought Lucasfilm, and then a couple of years later they debuted the next animated show called Star Wars Rebels, and Ahsoka showed up on that, a much older Ahsoka, and oh man, I mean, people were blown away. I mean, she was fantastic, and she has become a very, very popular character.
So she kind of is like rivals what I said about Leia. That you watch her really grow up, and
That's exactly right.
okay, I see.
And her story
cool.
isn't fully over yet, which is even more exciting.
So you don't know. Oh, okay. You don't know what's coming next for her.
No.
So that continues in Rebels then.
Yes. Basically, I mean, I'm kind of spoiling it for you, but she's at the end of Rebels, and she has a mission that she's going on, and so we haven't seen that mission, and we don't know what happens to her. So,
oh dang!
And and what's weird is that Rebels takes place before Episode 4, so it starts about 5 years before, then ends about 2 years before. They're basically 2 years before Rogue One. So we know she survives then, but then at the end of the series, they actually fast forward to, at the end of the series, they had like a little montage of where the characters were, and they actually fast forward to right after Return of the Jedi. So, so she survives. She's alive, like in that next chapter of Star Wars. But again, we don't know where she is. So it's very exciting for that. But
so moral of the story is I need to watch the animated.
I think you
series.
would be. I'm telling you, the Clone Wars show is, to me, it's. Even though I really liked Rebels, I really love the Clone Wars. I think the Clone Wars, there's so much character.
Just something about it being animated like throws me off, and I feel like it's geared towards like little kids, but I guess it's not.
It's not. No, there's in-depth story going on there. There's great writing going on there. If you're into those characters like Padme and Anakin and Obi-Wan, I mean the whole series, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely
really
into
well
those
done.
characters,
It's
so.
really, really well done. And again, Rebels gets there too. I mean, Rebels has new characters that they're introducing. That was the only difference, In Clone Wars, you're kind of familiar with everybody. Rebels was a whole new group, and it's kind of the start of the rebellion, which was kind of cool. But some great. So that's the thing is that in animation with Ahsoka, obviously a big female character there. They still had Padme. You got a lot more depth with her. You got a lot more of her, fighting in the Senate, fighting with the politicians. Of course, her relationship with Anakin. And then you get into Rebels. Now, I think you would like Rebels in a sense because there's two very strong characters in that. There's one named Hera Syndulla. She's a pilot. And then you have Sabine Wren, who is a Mandalorian, actually. And they are part of this rebel group that starts, fighting back against the Empire. And yeah, it's great. It's great characters. And of course, Mon Mothma shows up in Rebels. Leia's actually in an episode. Anyway, you just got some very strong characters in the animation world that I think you would enjoy.
So pretty much I need to watch these shows and then come back on here and give you my feedback.
You would have a lot of different opinions, I think. I mean, you'd probably still stick with Leia and Rey. But
yeah, I mean, Leia, Rey, and Jen are pretty solidly my top three. I mean, sometimes Padme can maybe rotate into number 3, but not really. She's pretty solidly number 4. But yeah, I mean, I guess I need to give these other girls a chance and watch. Just from what you've said, I feel like I would relate to them more as Ahsoka.
Have you? I mean, you're a big reader, right? You obviously haven't. Have you read any novels, Star Wars novels?
I haven't, but I am a big reader.
Well, do you want to? I've got them all.
Sure.
Because there's two books in particular. There's that you need to read called Rebel Rising. It's about Jen Erso.
Okay.
It's her story from basically what you see in the movie between when she went with Saul and then how she showed up on the in prison at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's her whole journey. It's a great book. It's really good. And then there's one called Leia, which is before New Hope. It's when she's 16 years old. She has her 16th birthday, and there's like things as an Alderaanian princess that turns 16. She has things that she has to do, and that book is about that. Really good book. And then there's a book called Ahsoka, and it's about Ahsoka, obviously.
Yeah, I would totally read those.
So I have them on my shelf. I'm staring at them right now, actually. So I can bring those to you.
Just leave them on my
Because
desk.
I don't read them. I just, they're just for show. I actually get the audiobooks. I listen to the audiobooks.
Okay. No, I much prefer just a hard copy
I know.
of a book.
You could probably hammer that out in like one night. I can't.
Probably, yeah.
I can't do that. No, it's good. And then and then just kind of fast forward a little bit. There's a book coming out next year called Queen Shadow, and that's about Padme. That's what I was talking about. They're actually starting to really ramp up, female characters and getting back into talking about these characters. So on that topic, though, well, I'll just mention to everybody that, and somebody that you'd be interested in. I think if you when you watch the Clone Wars, I'll say when because I know you're going to watch it eventually.
Okay.
But to be honest, one of my favorite female characters, obviously my ultimate is Leia, but probably my number 2 favorite female character is actually a woman called Asajj Ventress. And the only reason I say that is because she's in the Clone Wars. She's introduced in the Clone Wars. She's actually a dark assassin working for Count Dooku. Okay.
Okay.
So at first you're like, okay, well, she's a bad guy. I'm like, and she is. She's evil, and she's trying to kill Anakin, and she's trying to help Dooku overthrow the galaxy. Blah 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 blah. Well, so again, since the Clone Wars were cut short, we didn't get her full story. Well, they wrote a book called Dark Disciple, and it basically was the episodes of the Clone Wars that they couldn't make, so they turned it into a novel. And the book is about her actually. You find out in the book that she actually was a Padawan. She was training to be a Jedi, but then got sent away because she wasn't, coming to grips and wasn't being good. So as a child, she was sent away, and then she ended up falling into what's called the Night Sisters and became kind of a witch in a sense. And then because she was still powerful to Force, and then Dooku found her and then trained her in the dark side, and that's how she became evil. But then in this book, she's betrayed by Dooku and then actually kind of goes on her own for a little while, and then actually gets recruited by the Jedi to kind of go in as a secret assassin to kill Dooku because she wants revenge on him, right? And then she's paired with this Jedi called Quinlan Vos, and they form actually a very romantic relationship. And there's just great chemistry in that book and story, and she has an outstanding, incredible arc in that book. So I'm a huge fan of hers, to be honest. Now, anyway, so
well, cool. That's a hot take right there.
Yeah. So if you ever, when you get through the Clone Wars, I'm telling you, you would want. If I give you this book, I feel like you would have a very similar feeling to what I'm saying with her, because you want to talk about strong characters. I mean, she goes through a ton in her life. What you see her in the Clone Wars, and then what you see with the book, it's pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in that. Looks like I got a lot to catch up on,
to do.
Female character wise.
Yes, you got a lot to do.
I read today that Carrie Russell is going to be introduced in episode 9.
She is.
Of Star Wars.
Yes, she's a JJ actress. That's been in his movies before.
But I'm sure there's lots of theories circulating around that.
There are. What's your
I
theory?
haven't really read much. I mean, I think the obvious theory everybody wants to jump to is that she's Rey's mom, and somehow that'll come out. I'm sure there's other theories about her being like one of Kylo's or one of like Luke's other what do you call them? The ones that he was training,
Yeah, like
that
his
like
train,
went
like
rogue.
yeah, the part of his students or whatever, his knights. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at.
I mean, I want to believe that she's Rey's mom just because like I desperately did want Rey to like somehow be connected in the Star Wars universe, but the more I think about it, the more it like makes sense that like you don't have to be a Skywalker to have the Force, and maybe there really is no connection, and she could have just, her parents could have died and she could have just come from nowhere. So maybe it's important that we don't find out who her parents are.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm still on the fence too about whether or not I want to know or I care. To be honest, at this point, I actually like the fact that in The Last Jedi, that it's revealed, even if it was not what I wanted to hear. At least it's out of the way, and now I'm trying not to worry about it. I mean, there are still people that are like, no, that hasn't resolved yet. It can't be that. It's like, why not? Why don't we just move on to the next part of the story and accept the fact that she's not a Skywalker, accept the fact that she's not someone special, that she is a nobody. And technically, Luke was that way in the first place until he found out that he was, son of Anakin Skywalker. I mean, he was kind of a nobody. They got kind of plucked out and thrown in this galaxy conflict. So, yeah,
that's true.
I don't know. I have to wait and see some trailers before I kind of decide who she is, or maybe it's obvious in the trailer who she is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to hold me to the fire, I would say that because I'm used to JJ's movies, I would say she's probably Rey's mom.
Yeah, you think he's going to go for the obvious?
I think he's going to throw a twist in there somehow.
You don't think it'll be her like playing Rey in the future somehow?
No. Wow, that would be weird. I didn't even think about that, but I don't think so. I mean, part of me is like, it's too obvious that she's playing her mom, but then again, it's like, she's probably going to end up being nobody, just a new character, and then we move on, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Okay, so I don't want to keep you too long, but let's just wrap up with Leia being, your favorite. What do you think is her, or what do you want? How do you want her kind of story to end, or does it end in Episode 9 for her?
It's hard because of her untimely demise and how they were going to try to figure that out with wrapping it up. I feel like they probably went away from their original plan with her, but I feel like she probably has to die. Because Luke and Han have died, and I feel like it's just like the rite of passage now that we had Han die, and then we had Luke die, so now we have to have Leia die in this one. And as much as I don't want her to, and I feel like there could be some sort of hope living on with her if she were to live in this new movie, just because I love her, and I just want to think that she just lives to a ripe old age and is happy until the very end. But yeah, I think she's going to have to die in the next movie.
So with the fact that they haven't filmed her dying,
I mean, it's going to have to be written out somehow.
Yeah. Like an explosion or something like that, or?
Yeah. But I mean, how can they really have footage of her to wrap it up anyway?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, I think it'll be written out. Whether she dies or whether she goes back to the Senate or whatever, it'll be written out.
Yeah, I think my theory is that I'm with you. I think she dies, and the only reason I think she dies is that this is supposed to. What they're even saying it. This is supposed to be the end of the Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's the end of an era.
Can't really have the end if there's still Skywalkers alive.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think Kylo dies too.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yeah,
You think Rey has to kill him?
I do.
Interesting.
I do.
I'm still kind of hoping that he comes back to the light side.
See, I would actually be upset if he does. Because
he just needs to commit.
Well, that's what he did in episode 8. Is this whole time Rey saying, "If I go, he'll turn. If I go, he'll turn." Well, he turned. He turned fully evil.
Mm.
So that was his chance, to come back. And now that he's fully embraced, I think he's, because it's something that, if you think about it, it's something that Vader never became. Vader never became the master. He was always the apprentice.
Right, yeah.
If he was able to ever kill the Emperor and take over, it's like that is a different type of power. And now that Kylo has that power, and he's going to have that for a couple, I think, for some years, because I think we're going to jump time in this movie.
Yeah.
So I think the only way to end the conflict is he's got to die.
Dang. Yeah, I never really thought about him dying. I guess you would assume that one of them has to, and obviously it's not going to be Rey.
No, Rey's going to continue on. I think Finn continues on, and Poe. I think there's stories that they're going to try to expand on them later.
It's going to be the new generation of Star Wars.
Right.
So when they say this is the final episode, it's probably just, they mean the final episode for the Skywalker.
Yeah, well,
saga.
See, the episodic movies are just dedicated to the Skywalkers. So episode 9 is the final time that they'll put an episode number on a movie.
Okay. But they're still going to expand on all these other characters that they've just started introducing. It just won't be an episode.
Correct.
I gotcha.
And then there shouldn't be any Skywalkers, because I think all the other stories are supposed to be non-Skywalker related.
Well, then that settles the debate. If Rey is somehow a Skywalker, she's definitely not. Then.
See, I don't think so either. Yeah, I definitely don't think she's a Skywalker. Now, whether or not her parents or her mom has a significant story, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I don't think it's relevant at this point.
Right. Yeah. If they were going to expand on it, they should have done it already.
Right. Yeah, I think they had their chance. It's kind of similar to Snoke. Snoke died, and everybody's kind of wondering who was that guy, and why didn't we get more out of him? And do we really need it? I don't think we did, because again, it fulfilled Kylo's story. It got him to where he needs to be. And now
his
going back,
backstory is secondary to what's going on with Kylo.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it to me in a book or something, and I'll read it that way.
Yeah. Don't waste my time in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I think to wrap it up, just kind of to follow the pattern that has been happening, and just for the sake of symmetry, Leia has to die, and not that Hope will die with her, but
no,
that's just how you got to wrap it up.
Yeah. Casey has a theory which is really good. He says he thinks all of her scenes are going to be flashbacks. Like she has died before the movie starts.
Oh yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's very cool, because he thinks because they kind of mentioned, like JJ and Carrie Fisher's brother mentioned, that they found a way to honor her legacy. And Casey's like, I think the way you find a way is how do you make footage work that you weren't intended to use it, So he's like, I think there's going to honor it in flashbacks, and it's going to remind these people like Rey and like Finn and Poe that the good things that she said to them and the good things that she did with them, and that's going to drive the rebellion in a sense too. So I really like that. I think
I think that's an awesome theory, and I hope that's what happens. I hope that's true, because I think that would be a nice way to honor Leia and Carrie Fisher's legacy with flashbacks, especially if they could make it happen like throughout the entire like have her as a young princess, and some of the flashbacks too. That would be cool.
I will straight up cry for sure.
Well, then I hope that I'm going to the movie with you so I can watch.
You wouldn't tear up a little bit because of that?
I mean, I would, but I'd also laugh at you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. No, I was, when we went to, a bunch of us went to, I don't even know if you were working for us then yet. When we went to Celebration last 2015, you weren't working for us 2015, right?
No.
Yeah. I don't remember how. No, was it 2015? No, it was 2017. 2017. Last April. Not this past April, but the year before.
Okay.
When did you start working for us? Late 2017,
it's been
right?
Literally like a year.
Almost a year. Yeah. Okay. So you were in LA, I think, right? So we went to Orlando in April 2017, and it was the 40th anniversary, right? Star Wars 40th anniversary. The day we get there, it's like this 40th anniversary panel. It's really huge. They had all the original cast come out. I mean, Harrison's first time at a convention.
Wow.
They had Hamill, obviously, Billy Dee, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, even Hayden Christensen and
What?
Ian McDermott and George Lucas was there. I mean, it was massive. And obviously Carrie wasn't there. But her daughter, Billie Lourd, who is in the movie, I don't even know if you knew that. She comes out, and she actually, it was really cool because she says, this is towards the end of the panel. She says, my mom, was very instrumental in my growth and me becoming an actress. And she's saying that, that the hologram in episode 4 when she explains to Luke, or she's trying to talk to Obi-Wan about helping with the rebellion, right? She said she would recite those lines all the time. Like she knew that line by heart.
Really?
Yes. And so when she got done talking, they showed, and you can actually get online and watch this because they released it. They showed like a 2-minute dedication video to Carrie Fisher. And it was all this behind the scenes footage. And it was her at different types of interviews saying those lines because people asked her to keep repeating it. So she would do this, and it was a big montage. And I'm telling you, I freaking bawled like a kid, man. I mean, everybody was, though. I mean, it was so moving
that's
and so touching.
Really touching, yeah.
And it was like the last time, you saw her in that. And then one of the most cherished things I've ever gotten at a celebration after we left, they handed all of us a picture of Leia. A really portrait of it's from A New Hope, with the buns, black and white. It's got this like really cool orange like spark behind one of her buns, and it says "May the Force be with you" across it. And it's like one of the I held on to that thing, got it like framed right away so it wouldn't bend, and it's hanging above my office here at my house, and I love it so much. It's like one of my favorite things, and it's unique because it's numbered. There's only like 5,000 of them.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of hers, and it was tough hearing her pass, and I keep thinking of how I'm going to react when, fortunately we lose either Harrison or Mark Hamill or even George. This is my childhood you're talking about, and
yeah,
it's crazy.
It's going to be tragic probably for everybody.
Yeah.
Who's even a small fan of the Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, it was really tough pill when Carrie Fisher died. I mean, it's supposed to be a bumper sticker, but I actually put it on my work computer, and it's like
it's a rebel symbol, right?
Well, no, it's Leia holding up her like gun, and it says, "A woman's place is in the resistance."
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's like my favorite
That's awesome.
little sticker I've ever bought. It's awesome. Yeah. So I also have a relic of Carrie Fisher.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. See, you were worried about we wouldn't talk enough, and I feel like an hour has already gone by. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to talk about or mention? I don't know.
No, I mean, I think I have some more research to do, and I definitely want to read those books that you mentioned.
Yeah, I'll bring you one at a time, just so that I don't force you to get through them.
Yeah, I
all,
apologize that I'm not all caught up on the side stories and everything.
I live and breathe this stuff, so it's but again, I find convenience in it. I drive 25 minutes to work every day and back, and I use that time when there's an audiobook out. Because there's no way I'd be able to read all these books. I don't read. I read emails all day, and I would never be able to concentrate on a novel. So listening while I'm driving and plus the audiobooks are like basically watching a movie with your eyes closed. They're incredibly produced.
Yeah, and the people that they get to read them now, it's insane.
It's unbelievable. It's one person with all these voices. Yeah, it's crazy.
I've been thinking about just getting the Harry Potter books on audio so I can experience it that way. Well, if I'm going to read these books, then I'm going to need you to try out Harry Potter, and you can come on my podcast sometime.
Okay.
Even if it's just reading on.
I've seen all the movies. I mean.
Oh, well, you could come on. You'd have to. Yeah.
I mean, I might have to refresh my memory a little bit on what happens in which ones, but
right.
I saw.
But the books are always better. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd have to do an audiobook. So, yeah, I may do that if I get through all of my. I'm finishing a book that's out right now called Thrawn Alliances, and I should be done with that here within the week. And then there's not a new book coming out for a while, so maybe.
Okay, you don't have
for
to
every book,
anything.
Star Wars book you read, I'll do an audio book of Harry Potter.
Deal. I can handle that.
Okay. You'll probably read it faster than I listen to it, though.
Right. That's all right.
Yeah.
I'll keep tabs.
But I think I sold you on Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And
I'll definitely. I need something new to watch. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try to pick it back up.
Do you have Netflix? It's on Netflix. The whole series is on Netflix.
Yeah, I can definitely start watching that again.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sam, for hanging out with me. I got to get you on here more often because it's always good to get a woman's perspective.
Female point of view. Yeah, you're welcome.
And not just when you're filling it for Casey either. When Casey's on, we'll get get some conversations going. But it's good because there's always something Star Wars to talk about. Like I said, Solo will be hitting your digital and Blu-ray shelves this in just a month, mid September. So we will talk more about that as that comes out because I'm sure then Casey and I will be doing a commentary on that as well. So, again, appreciate Sam. Check out Harry Potter and the Half Drunk podcast on iTunes. In fact, episode 3 is out right now as you're listening to this. So go over and check that out. And you're pretty much doing those every Tuesday, right? They come out every Tuesday, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're trying to do it every week. We're being aggressive about it.
No, that's good. That's what you got to do. Consistency is what fans like. Consistency. Mm-hmm. So, great job.
Well, awesome.
Thanks, Sam. I will see you later this week because I'm gone.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Sam. Take care.
Bye.
Be sure to check us out at InsideTheForce.com. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, course, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Inside the Force. I'm DCottingham21 on Twitter. Go check out Sam and her Harry Potter podcast. All that's good stuff. Appreciate all the support. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great week. May the Force be with you.
Thank you for listening to Inside the Force, a Star Wars podcast hosted by David Cottingham and Casey Cooney. For more shows, additional content, articles, and the latest Star Wars news, please visit InsideTheForce.com. Inside the Force. For the Force within all of us.